All right. Welcome back to the pod. Everybody who's listening, watching, however you consume this. Hopefully, you're not driving or like operating machinery while watching. I guess listening is cool. You could drive a forklift while listening to this. We are here with Ryan Lay, whose name you probably know because he does kind of a lot of things. I wanted to ask Ryan, welcome. I wanted to ask if you're encountering people who are maybe not familiar with what you do day to day, how do you present yourself? Do you say I'm a pro skateboarder? Do you say I do adventures? How do you describe yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say I'm a professional skateboarder first. I think I've gone through a lot of different stages in my life, being embarrassed to call myself an adult skateboarder, but I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely like a big part of my I don't know my personality in my life. So I would say that I am yeah, foremost a pro skateboarder and a guy who likes to do I don't know endurance uh, projects or endurance sports. And a whole host of other things. I mean, yeah, I plan an event, do just kind of a range of things.
That's so cool. So what does your set of skills in these worlds look like? You skate. For those who don't know, what else do you do? Endurance events, that's running?
Yeah, so, I think I was never really athletic, like most people, I quit doing sports probably in, I don't know, 6th grade, and over COVID, I got intrigued by through hiking, just kind of walking long distances. You could think of the classic through hikes as, like, the Pacific Crest Trail or the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
And there is a trail in my backyard called the Arizona Trail, which goes from Mexico to Utah. It's about 800 miles, and it's one of the, I don't know, big through hikes that people do in the
Does
spring
that
and the
go
winter.
through like south of Tucson
Yes,
a little bit?
It does go through south of Tucson. It also goes through the Grand Canyon and just outside Phoenix and Flagstaff. So kind of hits a lot of the major cities in Arizona if you've been there.
Very cool. My grandparents used to live down by the border south of Tucson, and that trail went kind of through their backyard. And I walked part of it for a few hours, and I've never seen so many snakes. There were so many snakes out there. It was gnarly. So, I mean, good for you if you're able to go through that. And I like reptiles. I think they're cool. I was freaked out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Definitely lots of snakes out there. But yeah, I did. So I hiked the Arizona Trail in I think March or April of 2021. It took me about a month and a half, and then when I finished that, met some guys who were into ultra running, trail running. You're used to doing really long days towards the end of a through hike. Upwards of like 30, 40 mile days, and yeah, I took it upon myself to run the Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim, which is a kind
Whoa.
of big ultra marathon distance trail route that is kind of a bucket list item for people in the endurance world. And that was like a life-changing experience. And I had never actually run that much in my life, but I was in such good shape. And then from there, I was in kind of like what felt at the time like the twilight of my skate career. And so I just started to, I don't know, I really took to trail running specifically and through hiking and fast packing, which is kind of a blend of the two. And pretty much just like threw away my skate legs for a couple of years. I think I was in between shoe sponsors and riding for Welcome at the time and didn't really see any future on the horizon, which I felt totally at peace about. But yeah, spent a few years trail running pretty consistently. And then, got picked up by New Balance and tried to kind of like, I've tried to blend the two pretty much ever since. In recent years, I've also gotten into gravel cycling and kind of what you would call adventure cycling or bike packing, which is, multi-day, multi-week trips on the bike with, all of your gear. So really into kind of like self-supported endurance efforts, I guess you could call them.
That's so cool. And I love that there's that through line, self supported endurance efforts. It's been well documented. The piece that Pat O'Dell did that have the epically layered name on it? The one that he did about
Yes.
you?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was I remember it vividly. I think it's really great. Anybody who hasn't seen it, please check it out because it's, like, really, really good. I couldn't remember if it had the epically layered name on it or not,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that seemed to document quite well what you were talking about, this feeling or this place in your life where, yeah, it seemed like skating was kinda done, and you were on to doing other things. Um, I don't wanna rehash it too much since it's been documented so well, but what was that like to have this, I don't know, kinda renaissance in something you've been doing? Because like, when did you start skating? Probably pretty young, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, I started skating at 9, and I was definitely, like, a pretty, I was an early sponsored kid, probably 14 or 15, and so I'd just been in the industry for a really long time, and, yeah, I mean, I felt at peace. I'd, like, made some money, traveled the world, and, I got a mortgage on a house in Arizona, so I was like, that's a lot to be grateful for, that skateboarding provided me, but, I would say if I said that it's not, it's tough to deal, like, the ego part of you, it's tough to let go, right? Like, there's a reason why these older guys wanna hang on as long as they can, because it's hard to just go back to being a regular guy who's not, specifically great at any sort of, like, sport or activity, and so, yeah, I don't know, like, for a few years, I enjoyed trail running and was having fun just kind of getting on the learning curve with that, but, there was a part of me that, like, kinda kept moving the ball forward skating-wise, and so, I don't know, when Sci-Fi started and, Jerry offered me the opportunity to ride for him, it felt like there was a kind of new beginning, and then, yeah, crazy. I would never have expected to get on New Balance at the age that I did. I mean, I maybe have said this before, but I tried to get on New Balance several times over the course of my career, probably over the course of a decade. And so it was pretty wild at, I don't even know, 33 or 34 to finally get on a pretty major league shoe brand. And now, at the time of this recording, at least, I have a pretty solid skate career, and have really, decided to, like, I don't know, and yeah, in the last couple of years, I've really decided to, like, take it seriously in a way that I was definitely not, in 2022, 2023.
Yeah, and I mean, that says so much about possibility, being open to that stuff. It also just says a lot about where skateboarding is at too, like
Yeah.
realizing the utility of people beyond the age of. I always go back to some interview. I forget if it was in print or recorded, but Jason Lee talking about how he quit being a pro skateboarder at 25 because who skates after 25 in that era in the early 90s? Who does that? Who even does that? Now I just think about most people I know, who skate are over 30. It's just a different world.
Yeah, you know what's a trip for me is the last New Balance trip I was on, I realized, outside of myself, there's now a place for the kind of, you know, the B team squad that is in their late 30s. So, I was on a trip with Tyler Surrey. Now, I mean, these are great skateboarders, but I'm saying guys who didn't get pro shoes aren't quite in the, like, legend category that you could put a Reynolds in. But all of us are in our late 30s. Tyler Surrey, Tom Karangelov, yeah, I think there's a couple other guys, and yeah, that never used to be the case, that you could be kind of a guy that wasn't a legend, but you could hang around long enough and provide, I don't know, some sort of you could fill some hole at a brand.
Yeah, and that's funny, those 2 individuals, those are 2 of, to me, the sickest skaters ever. Tyler Surrey is so unreal
He's
talented,
amazing, yeah.
and I'm
Uh-huh.
sure you've seen it firsthand. I don't even think I've ever seen him skate in
Yeah, yeah.
person, but just his video parts are like, masterworks. And then, yeah, Tom K, just like ultimate curator, ultimate spot selector, spot improver, spot documenter. He like has this whole life as a I feel like a creative person in skating, not just a physical talent, but somebody who story tells around what they do. And yeah, like those opportunities weren't around 5 years ago, really.
No. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that is so cool. So, I mean, you're doing a couple few things. Skateboarding, these endurance events. I did wanna ask too, your tee you have on, Mountain Hardwear, did I hear something about you perhaps being involved with Mountain Hardwear?
Yeah, I actually just signed with them, a couple weeks ago, so that's, like, something I've been trying to do the last few years is start working with more outdoor brands because I think that there's a good overlap. A lot of those brands are pulling from skating. They're working with guys who Seamus Foster, who made that really good video out of Salt Lake, Barking at the Knot, he does video stuff for them, and, yeah, so I just felt like there was a kind of natural affinity there, and so outside of even Mountain Hardwear, there's other brands that I've been talking with to just see if there's space for bringing some I don't know, even like just one skater into the mix or building out a skate team or just doing like a skate capsule. So yeah, it's like a dream come true to be able to work with a brand like Mountain Hardwear, especially when like I am no, I have like a lot of outdoor experience, but I am pretty much like an intermediate level, in terms of like trail running, through hiking, gravel cycling. Like I'm not a person who's competitive by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm basically an influencer in that regard. So it's really sick to get in the mix over there and that they see value in bringing a skateboarder into their program.
I mean, maybe like I was saying about with Tom having this storyteller aspect, that is, an amazing thing to bring to the table. I also just think, one, there's so much overlap between skateboarding and outdoor stuff. What skater doesn't wear outdoor gear in some capacity? But also, like, so many skaters are into camping, fishing.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say golf. That's its own thing. The golf guys can go do their golf stuff, and that's its own thing. But yeah, I mean, just because you skate, I think that's one part of this community, I wanna say, maturing as well. People get into different shit and they bring what they have, they bring their background, their skill set, their community to that too. So now, yeah, there are all these I know a lot of skaters here in New York who are mad into fly fishing because that's a whole thing.
That's the new
There's
thing in New York right now.
at least well, I mean, we are very close to the birthplace of American fly fishing,
Okay.
in the Catskills, so it's, like, been around. I think a lot of people outside of the tri-state area don't really know about the, like, fly fishing history and community
Yeah,
around New
yeah,
York
yeah.
City. It's like, this is about where it started in the US,
Okay.
which is a cool thing, but, yeah, I mean, skaters aren't just skaters anymore. I think a lot of us grew up in this way where it was like, "I skate, that's all I do," or whatever. It's like everybody changes. Everybody picks up stuff as they mature and grow. So, I mean,
I like the idea that, fly fishing is the golf to the golf for New Yorkers,
I feel like it's
which
like
I would take it over golf any day of the week.
yeah, I think somebody told me this, and I thought it was really funny, but this thing of people on the West Coast going toward golf, people on the East Coast going toward fishing, and I've
Yeah,
seen a lot of that.
not enough real estate for golf, in New York for sure.
Not really, they did not that it would, like, sway me to go try to play golf there, but at least political moment, the golf course that had Trump's name, the Trump Links or whatever, got rebranded, so I was like every time I drive by it, I'm like, "Well, at least I don't have to see a giant Trump sign, like, that's a benefit." I'm not like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get into golfing," but, like, for a while in my head, I was like, "Dude, fuck golf, there's a Trump golf course, I don't want anything to do with it."
Yeah,
But
yeah, for
that's
sure.
its own thing. That's its own thing.
You fuck with tennis at all? I like tennis, but it's pretty hard on your knees for an aging skater.
I could definitely see that. There is a nascent community of people around here who are into tennis, skaters who are into tennis. German Neves and Eric Ellington come to mind. I know they both are like kind of badass tennis players.
No
Shout out
shit.
German.
Yeah, 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 I
Actually,
love German
really, really
knees.
good tennis player.
Really good
I have.
skaters still too, right?
Oh, sorry.
Really good skaters still too.
Amazing skater, amazing
Yeah.
skater. It's like ripping it still. Yeah, there's like a low key community of people who are into tennis here, and I see a lot of movement in that way. Tennis to me is also like, it's got a lot of the social benefits of golf, but I just really like, and I haven't played much, but I do just really like that there are public courts anywhere golf
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it's also a problem I have with fly fishing too, just the logistics of it. Being a guy who has 2 kids and, like, has no shortage of other things that I'm doing, it's hard to dedicate, like, a day, 2 days to, get up to the Catskills, get set up, that's a whole effort. I made, like, 1 good fishing trip last summer, and even that was a stretch. My wife was like, when are you gonna be back? When are you coming back?" You know what I mean? Tennis, plenty of public courts that you can play, and I feel like it's a lot more, democratic in that way. You can just sign up on a list and show up, and there are places here that you can play anywhere. So, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to the tennis players.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, you're doing a lot of stuff on top of skateboarding, on top of running, and you're talking about gravel cycling, slow impact. I wanted to talk about slow impact for those, and just like I asked you, how do you describe yourself, or what's your like elevator version about what you do professionally? When people ask you, like a family friend or somebody who doesn't really know what's up with slow impact, how do you describe it? Because I like, when I was back home a few weeks ago, my parents were asking me, they're like, "Oh, are you going to Arizona for that thing again? What is that? What do you guys do there?" And I was like, "Yeah, how do you describe it?" Because if I said if it was a skateboarding event, yeah, there's a lot of skateboarding, but, like, it's not really about skateboarding that much. And I was, like, talking about, just stuff I'm stoked for. I was talking about, Taj and Ted, their their talk I think is gonna be really good, and I talked about the stuff that, Lou had done a couple years ago, and the takeaway was like, "Yeah, that isn't that focused on skateboarding, is it?" And I'm like, it's hard to explain." So I don't know, how do you describe it?
I think first and foremostly, it's like a curated skate vacation. So we already had a lot of older guys from the East Coast and the Midwest who would come out and plan trips to Arizona in the, late winter, January, February. Arizona's obviously a beautiful place during those times.
The
We
best.
have already kind of a model for people come out for spring training baseball. They come out for the Waste Management Open, which is a big golf tournament. So my thought was like, what if we did a skate event in the off season? So there's all these skate events, obviously, throughout the summer, really great ones. We were also kind of coming off of pushing borders, which I was pretty involved in. I mean, I wasn't involved on the planning side, but I attended the one in Sweden, and unfortunately, like that fizzled out because I think those guys were pretty burnt out. And then with COVID, they just lost steam over a couple of years, and so I basically just kind of thought about how could we bring all of these worlds together, like people who want to come out and skate in a t-shirt in February and probably try to bring some of this headier academic stuff to uh, you know to doing we're doing panel discussions and we're doing live art and culture and I don't know, or no, not sorry, not live art, live music and art and all this kind of cultural stuff. So yeah, and I reached out to New Balance, I think, what was this, 4 years ago now, this we're going into the fourth year. And they were down to support it. Again, I think Pushing Borders did like a really great job showing that there was an audience for this type of event. And a lot of the first people who really believed in it and came out when it was much smaller, probably like 100 to 150 people, were people who were kind of in that orbit. And so, yeah, over time, it's taken different shapes, but we try to. I really try to like distinguish it from just an academic conference because I think that would be boring and kind of understating or underselling what it actually is. But it's a little bit of skate talk, a little bit of party, a little bit of skateboarding. We had, in addition to kind of the resources that we had with Skate After School and Cowtown being there, and obviously the good weather, we had built a couple skate parks in Phoenix, Mitchell Park and Perry Park, and so it was nice to be able to showcase those as well. And I think there's just something magical about how dead Tempe feels when people visit in February. So yeah, I don't know, like you can really just take over the streets and go skate the university and be like the only one around.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. That is a beautiful way to put it, and thank you for spelling it out. That gives me so much to think about. I had not thought about that, how absolutely just cleared out Tempe feels. Is this is a dumb question, isn't school in session? I feel like school is
I
in session when we're there, isn't it?
It is, and not only that, but I think that ASU is one of the top 2, it's like 1 or 2, number 1 or number 2 biggest schools in the country, outside of Texas A&M in terms of student body, but,
Has to be up there, it's huge.
there's something about the kind of suburban hellscape that is Phoenix that, like, no one is out walking around or doing anything. I spent the winter making some YouTube videos filming around ASU by myself, and if you go and watch those, there's just nobody anywhere. It looks like I'm in an episode of Pluribus or something.
And that makes so much sense to me now, this sort of desolate feeling of a really populated place, but nobody's outside. Like, it feels desolate because nobody's outside, nobody's out walking around. It is Arizona. It's not really part of the culture in that in the way that it is that places that were built hundreds of years before freeways were around. Arizona was, a lot of times, unless we're talking about going way, way back, um, a lot of the streets and stuff that exist now are products of the automobile era,
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah,
able
for
to,
sure.
drive from place to place rather than having to, walk or take a horse or something. I just say that being in Brooklyn where it's like, it's the opposite. We're all working around, streets that were made for horses and then streetcars, which is like a sort of a trip to think about. But yeah, man, it's sort of cleared out. So that's a beautiful thing too, to be able to take advantage of that space or that ability to use space at a time when a lot of people from other places, myself included, are looking to get out because the weather sucks.
That's why we schedule it for late February because that's like I feel like that's the cracking point for a lot of people where they're just like, "Man, I need I need a vacation. I need to get in the sun."
Yeah, and I feel really blessed that I've been able to go every year so far. The first year was a lot different. The first year was a lot smaller. It felt really special. It felt like there was something really cool in the air, but I did not see it, maybe a little bit, but I didn't see it growing to the place that it is now. Last year had so many people. It was maybe more fun. I think last year was the most fun I'd had so far. And maybe some of that just has to do with getting on top of that, what's that mountain in the middle of Tempe?
A mountain, yeah.
A mountain, get on top of that, and then there was, like, a fireworks show going on, that was beautiful.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
that will
that
be it then.
those are the things that I get excited about, like, it sometimes it can be hard to plan, but, like, something as simple as going for a hike, you just take that for granted when you live in Tempe, but that's free, we don't have to get permits for it, and it really kind of, like, adds to the whole, like, skate vacation experience where I want people to leave feeling like they had a fun 4 days at, adult summer camp.
Yeah, and I had an amazing time last year. Maybe it's a dumb question, maybe it's just something that no one really has an answer to. Maybe it just sort of comes out in the wash from people having a good time, but I would wanna hear it from you. What's been, if you've seen anything, what's been the secret to the growth? How is this event built up to be what it is?
Um, I think that there's just, like, coming out of, obviously, like, COVID's not over, but coming out of, like, that era of 2021, 2022, people are just really craving community events, and something that I've really tried to focus on is having, a little more participation at Slow Impact, like audience participation or spectator participation, so, if you could think of, like, Dime Glory Challenge, which is an incredible event, an event that I would never be able to plan. It's like the sickest skate event of all time. It is mostly like a place that you go to spectate, and kind of party and hang out. So
Very true.
we try to like distinguish slow impact from that in that like there's a lot of room for audience participation, conversation. And even this year, like I'm trying to do more of that. We're going to do more workshops. We're going to do like a zine exchange, zine fest. And I don't know. I want people to just feel like I didn't go to an event for 4 days and watch spectacular skateboarding because there's a lot of that out there. Even, I've been to Copenhagen Open, which is really sick, but that's, basically what that event has turned into for the most part. And I will say, like, growth-wise, I've actually tried to pump the brakes as much as I can because I don't really, I like on top of skating and whatever kind of endurance projects I have planned for myself, I am not a full-time event planner, which is what an event really needs if you want to grow it as much as it can. So I don't really market slow impact a whole lot. I try to keep it underground as much as I can. I really want it to stay special and this kind of, an event where people attend maybe on a whim and then they're like, I want to go back next year and I'm going to tell my best friend like he has to come with me. And that seems to be like how you get sustainable growth. And also like that's how you grow a culture for an event in a community instead of I don't want people to come expecting one thing and then being like, what the hell? I'm sitting through a panel discussion with Ted Barrow. This is boring as hell.
Ted, you're boring. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm so stoked for the thing with Ted and Taj this year. But that is a really interesting point too, where I did last year have somebody hit me up just asking about it and asking a lot of very pointed questions. And all I could really come back with was, I answered the question, but it was like, you just have to come to see it. You just have to come be a part of it. And that's really the only way you're gonna understand. It maybe on the surface sounds like one thing, but a big takeaway I've had is just being there, being around that energy. It kinda doesn't matter what I'm doing, it just feels really cool to be there.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, that means a lot. Yeah, I try to like keep a good balance of things. I think that from the outside, like people can they make projections that it's like, super dense or a bunch of academics who are pretentious. And I really even people who are academics who are like, oh, it's an academic conference. I'm like, no, it's not that. I really don't want it to be thought of as that. It's for first and foremost an entertainment product. Like I want people to come and have a really good time. And I think that like our audience really appreciates sometimes like a higher level conversation occasionally. And then on top of that, maybe they want to listen to Andrew Reynolds talk about his new shoe, or they want to listen to Matt Price talk about skate photos. So I always like in the programming, we'll try to just keep like an even balance where we're not, overloading it with, skate urbanism talk or whatever skate theory, which is perfectly acceptable, but you can only handle so much of it.
The, talk that Matt Price gave, and he explained shooting a photo from inside of a trash can using a stick to hit.
Yeah.
I had to take a break mentally. I heard that and I was just like, my mind is so blown right now. I seriously, couldn't handle that in the moment. It was so sick and creative and special, and I took away from that experience just like, this is how fucking cool this thing is. Somebody is just getting up there and talking about their super unique perspective, their problem solving in this way that's like really entertaining. And I don't know if anybody listening has any doubts or questions about like what to expect or will I have fun. I'm just like, you're gonna meet really cool people. There's always something fun going on, and somebody you probably look up to is gonna tell a really cool story. And I think that that's like, mm, to me, why would you not wanna do that? So, it's cool.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, there's been a lot you hit some highlights about what has happened in past years of Slow Impact, talking about last year, I mean, the talk with Jeff Mikett and, Andrew Reynolds and Nick Pappas, and that was so cool. For his pro shoe, and then was Matt Price's was that last year or the year before?
That was the year before,
The year
yeah.
before, yeah, right,
Last
and
year we
there's
had Peter Sutherland.
right, I had to dip out early for that one, and that's a shame because I 'cause I'm a big fan of his work, but that was last year. obviously some really cool things have happened. What's on deck for this year? Is there anything that you wanna talk about or highlight?
Um, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of people who are gonna get back to me at the end of January,
For
basically.
sure, okay, end of January, no
No,
pressure.
no, this is always what happens, but it's like the people that I really want to come are busy because you know, they've got a lot of interesting things going on, and so they're like, "Can I hit you at, like, the end of January, early February?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm selling tickets to an event right now." So, right now, we have, obviously, Ted Barrow and Taj Hansen, who Taj gave a really good, paper talk last year, about the work that he's doing in Portland. It's kind of in the kind of skate urbanism lane, and they're going to talk about ledges, history of ledges, what makes a good ledge, and that is going to intersect with this art show that Vince Skelly is putting on, which is all basically like furniture, benches, chairs that are modeled after. I mean, I'm paraphrasing because again, I give people a lot of leeway with planning because I really need that. But it's going to be a show that kind of looks at the specific qualities that we look for in iconic skate spots. So, like heights and materials. That's basically how he's told me. So, that will be really cool. He's an artist based out of here. He's reached out to a lot of really good sculptors as well. Mark Tan at ASU is helping with that. So, we've got the art show. We've got a talk with Taj and Ted Barrow about ledges. We've got talk with Sandy Kim, the kind of fashion and art photographer that Jerry Sue is hosting that I'm super stoked about. We will have again the Sean Bonnet skate video cover band, which is all time. Do not miss that if you come to
So
Slow
good.
Impact because it's
So
almost
good.
everyone's highlight. We're gonna do the skate debate again, which Sam Corman from Plank Skate Mag hosts, and that's basically like think high school debate class, are slappy grinds good or bad? And you have two teams of people who have to argue for and against, regardless of whether or not you believe in the thing. And then they get awarded points, and that's usually takes place at a bar. And you're allowed to like throw shit at the the panelists, and cheers and jeers are encouraged from the audience. So um, yeah, we're doing that. We've got also a jam session, which I think will be really fun before the skate video cover band. So that will include, if you play music and you want to do kind of a one-off performance, you want to serenade people with your guitar or do a drum solo or rap, you'll have the ability to do that. We're doing a zine fest, which I think will be really sick. So a lot of people, we have so many people in our community who just make so much cool shit. And I feel like everyone kind of comes here to get inspired and hopefully leave with some sort of takeaway that helps them with their work. And so I would like to bring more people into the fold who can showcase their work and, you know, more art shows, more exchanges, more workshops. But yeah, I have, behind me a whiteboard with a list of names of people that I'm like trying to talk to at the moment, but I don't want to say anybody that I don't have confirmed at the moment. But yeah, regardless, it will be, 3 full days of panel discussions, skateboarding and other shit, and then a half day on Thursday.
Got it, and that's important for folks to know who are
Yeah.
planning to travel, planning their accommodations and stuff. So much good stuff there. I will start with Vince Skelly. I love his work. Had no idea he had any connection to skateboarding, which is so cool, and then just seeing him get plugged in is so cool. Also, if you want to know more about him, continue listening to episodes of this podcast because he is a guest coming up soon. And we're going
Sick.
to be talking about not only what he does, in his work, but some slow impact stuff. So that's cool too. Also, the great skate debate is like way too much fun. It's
Yeah,
it's
for
it's
sure.
it's always so good. Sam Corman, if you don't know him, Plank Skate Mag, amongst many other things, the Buffalo, New York representative, um, best guy. he does a really good job of making it, like, kind of serious, but also really kinda goofy and freeform, and I have had a really good time every time it's happened, so
Yeah.
shout out to Sam, shout out to the Great Skate Debate. Some of the stuff that gets discussed is really funny. I just love one thing I find so fascinating about skateboarders is so many of us can have these, like, really deep opinions about, like, "No, things have to be this way, this is it." But then if you
Mhm.
ask people individually why, even though they all have the same opinion, they will have wildly different answers, and I feel like that's the best thing about the Great Skate Debate is what was the one, was it 2 years ago, talking about, is it heel flip shove or varial heel? And, like, just
Yeah.
digging in on that, like, why do you actually believe why do you believe what you believe? It's so, like, existential, but it's funny, man. So it's gonna be a good time again this year, and, you know, some
We've got jerseys this year, so it'll be a
what?
good time. Yeah, for a, like, New Balance
Legendary.
soccer jersey for, each team. So
Of
blue
course.
team and white team, I think is what we're gonna have.
Of course, why wouldn't you? That's so sick.
Yeah.
Well, alright. Shout out to that event. So
Oh,
it'll be
yeah, I forgot to
fun.
mention, we're gonna do another hike, which should be fun at a different location, kind of a epic southwest sunset hike. And then we're gonna skate Perry Park, which was closed last year, but is open with beautiful renovations. So we're gonna do a sesh there, and then we're also doing the Spot Seekers, which is kind of an ongoing event through the weekend. And I actually have a prize purse for that. So the fun thing about slow impact growing is that I have some money to put into things. So the skate debate is going to get some budget, and Spot Seekers is going to get some budget. So you can get, I don't know, some sort of cash prize for whatever, best edit, worst dressed, lowest kickflip. So yeah, it should be fun.
Lowest kickflip, the worm burner. I remember
Yeah,
some interview with Mark Johnson where he called it a worm burner, which is just funny. Alright, well, you guys heard it here first, big prizes at Slow Impact this year. Well, so okay, so many cool people getting tied in, so many events, is just one side question, is the hike, is it outside of Tempe? Does it are people gonna be, heading out of town, or is it within
no,
the
it's
town
it's
itself?
it's in town. It's at,
Yeah,
Papago Park, which has these kind of, Mars-looking buttes that are right next to the airport, so it's only,
so cool.
I don't know, maybe a couple miles from where, most of the event takes place, so people have to bike there or take an Uber or hitch a ride, but, yeah, it's, a place that I spent a lot of time running, and I just was like, "Man, why have we not done this yet? Like, this should have been done a long time ago." Because I feel like when people come on the
Yeah.
hikes, like, there's so many cool, I mean, the experience is really fun, and there's just so many great images that are created out of those times, so, yeah, I just wanted to do something, just throw it into the mix just to make the weekend a little more dynamic. I think when I first started, I was really dead set on every night has to be a party night, and then I've realized that everyone is so burnt out by
So
the
burnt
time
out. It's
this
so much
Sunday.
fun, but man, yeah,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
full
yeah.
impact nights can get heavy.
So I try to, like, at least separate the party nights or have a break in them. So Friday night, there's no, it's like a, hike and then a skate session. If you wanna go party afterwards, you're welcome to do that on your own, but, we don't need to be getting drunk 4 nights in a row.
I was gonna say, like, if you need somebody to set up a party, do remember Casey Moore's is there. You can just walk over. You can just walk over
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Casey Moore's and, like,
exactly.
you'll have a good time, and there would be plenty of people drinking and having fun and stuff. So, word to the wise, just head to
Yeah, yeah,
Casey
yeah.
Moore's if you need a party plan, and you'll have plenty. So so cool. Like, zooming out, and this is maybe a big question. What have you learned doing this? How many years is it now? It's this the 4th year?
It's the 4th year. Um,
Like, what do you have any big takeaways if somebody asks you in an elevator, "Oh, what have you learned doing that?" Like, what might you come up with, or what comes to mind?
I mean, obviously I've learned the what people have talked about at the events on a kind of very simple level, but, I would say, like I've definitely like honed in my like event planning skills. I've really like started to kind of realize what people are looking for and how to like make use of time and build out a schedule, and what is also possible. Like when you're building out a spreadsheet of this is a 4-day event, which is quite a long time. You tend to just like pack way too much shit in and underestimate that people are just tired and they need to be fed and they need coffee and they need to be able to sleep in. And so if you're, planning a party night that goes to 1 in the morning, you're not going to get people to breakfast at 9:30 in the morning. It's just not going to happen. And so
Probably not.
e- every year I usually leave with the takeaway of how can these specific events be just made better, and then also how can we kind of change the schedule up to make it more fun and more dynamic. Because again, like if I think about what a good day is for me, it involves some learning in the morning, some physical activity, some probably some walking in my part, but or some exercise outside of skating, and then some sort of like fun nighttime event that can involve drinking or not, but just yeah, I guess, like, my main takeaway is, like, there's definitely, like, an audience for this. There's probably more of an audience for it than I even have the capacity for. Like, I think that we could grow Slow Impact considerably larger if I had the bandwidth to do that, or to do it, in the summer. I've had moments when I've thought about, what would this look like if you expanded it to a different city? But, right now, I also like being a pro skateboarder and having free time because it is like it's quite anxiety inducing, planning this event and selling tickets to an event where people are expecting to have a good time. It's not whatever, like people work jobs. I'm not trying to overemphasize like the stress that I'm under, but it can be it can be quite stressful, to be honest, to like have people planning their biggest, in some cases, like their biggest and most expensive trip of the year to an event that I like kind of falls on my shoulders, and I need to make sure that people leave having the best time of their life, or the best time of the year, I guess.
I would say, I mean, no pressure, but like when you get people who have such cool ideas and such cool viewpoints together, I feel like it just kind of comes out in the wash. You know what I mean? The energy
Yeah,
is
yeah.
cool. People are ready to talk. People are ready to get into big ideas and also just like hang out. I'm always impressed at how like big the ideas can get, but how informal the days can feel where it's just like, yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of shooting the shit with everybody. It's a really
No, 100% on like a planning side. I've definitely really tried to just always inform the planning that people will just self-organize and they're mostly just here to like enjoy good weather and hang out with friends they haven't seen in a while. Like you probably have friends from California or Minneapolis that you haven't seen, and they show up, and in the times that are in between the events, like that is when the event is made. You might be there to watch Ted and Taj, but the most meaningful thing you're going to do is have dinner with an old friend that you haven't seen in a while, or like have coffee outside of the bouldering project.
and that's like that's so much of it because it's like, when are we all together in this whole world? When are we all together when we can all just kinda, like, let our guard down too? Because exactly, a lot of those friends that you're talking about from California, even when I do see them, if I'm, like, out in LA or whatever, it's usually on some type of business, like, they're busy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
get that, like, organic hang. Maybe we can organize a breakfast or something, but people have jobs, people have lives. This is a good, like, drop your routine, and we're all just gonna hang out.
Yeah.
So that's another like, incredibly valuable thing that I didn't even think about. So, that's really dope. Okay, well, cool. So, a lot coming together too. Is there anything that you've learned, like, other than overextending yourself or, like, planning too much stuff, is there anything that you've learned not to do? Like, anything that was just like, "This isn't gonna work in this space?"
Uh, I don't know. I'm always like, again, I'm always like trying to strike a balance between different things that I want each attendant to feel like they left being most stoked on a different panel or event than another person. So it's nice when people show up and they're like, "Oh, the sickest part of Slow Impact last year was the Peter Sutherland talk," or "I didn't even go to the Peter Sutherland talk. I was there for the call for papers, which was the sickest thing for me." And so, I don't know. I try to always like strike a balance there. But what your original question was like other things that I've learned not to do. I mean, yeah, I'm really bad at delegating. I think anyone who's come to Slow Impact outside of last year has seen me like scrambling around so fucking burnt out. And I've been trying like especially last year and this year coming up to just put more budget towards finding more help and just having the event go more smoothly because if you're bad at delegating, you're just going to burn yourself out and you can't do everything. And I tend to just like try to overwork myself to death, and that makes for a bad experience for me, and I think it makes the event worse. So try to do more kind of front end planning and then also hiring as much help as possible just to make sure the event goes smoothly. But I usually do kind of a feedback form for each year, or I'll like reach out to good friends. And, something I struggled with last year is like things not being on time. And I'm trying to just fix that for this year, that the events start and finish when they say they're going to on the schedule, and there's enough time for people to do all of the things they want to do, and they're not like left at a panel discussion that's gone on an hour longer than they want and their butt hurts. So yeah, trying to make
Totally.
everything like just a little more like fit into a tight timeline.
And I really get that. Also, coming from a skateboarding background, so much of it is just like about how much you can handle yourself and push yourself. Be like, oh, gonna do this. I'm gonna like get this trick here, do this and stuff. And it's like, I this is not an original thought of mine, but do you remember speaking of epically later again, do you remember the one with Andrew Reynolds and he's like going into his neuroses and he's like at the top of the stair set and he's like, Ty, are you ready? Beagle, are you ready? Like doing that. That was always
Yeah,
just
yeah,
such an
yeah.
amazing like reason to call him the boss is like, oh, he's an expert delegator. He's not just like
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
amazing skateboarder. He's like knows how to put together a crew and make them all work together. That's its own skill set. So,
Yeah.
maybe that's an example for us all to look at. Andrew Reynolds, master delegator.
Yep. That's the guy that I usually look at for just about everything.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. Well, we've covered so much ground. If anyone has any more questions about Slow Impact, my advice is just come because it's like it's going to be a good time. Find a place. Um, you know, plenty of cool people going, and even if you don't know anybody who's going now, by the end of it, I guarantee that if you say hi to 5 people, you're gonna make a friend. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
pretty cool. Good deal. Are you ready to pivot a bit into a game?
sure. I'm
Oh,
down.
so sick. All right, let's
I've been
get it.
dying to.
Let's haven't we all? The game is called This or That, and we just it's a real either or, a choice of priority. So I'm just share my screen, and I'm just gonna ask you, what do you like, this or that, and tell me what comes up for you. All right, slideshow mode. Can you see this? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. This or that. The first question is, which do you prefer, Phoenix or Tucson?
Tucson.
Tucson, interesting. Any reason why?
It's so much better at kind of integrating in a desert lifestyle and aesthetic into the way that you live. Phoenix is really just kind of like beaten that out of the way that it's been planned and the way that the architecture is built. It's not much of a beautiful desert city, but when you're in Tucson, you really get the feeling that like you're living amongst the cacti and the coyotes. And yeah, unfortunately, I wish I had more friends who live in Tucson and family because I would prefer to live there. But yeah, Phoenix obviously is a bigger city, so there's more people that are skating. But in terms of nature, Tucson, and also Tucson has a 7,000-foot mountain right next to it. So if you want to get into cool weather in the summer, you can do that immediately.
That is a very good, very well thought out answer right off the cuff, but it's probably
I've thought
something that's
about it a
on your
lot.
mind. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. No, Tucson is sick. Yeah, it is. It's more remote. It's not as big of a city. there is some stuff going on there, but yeah, man, it is, you get that desert vibe very, very acutely there. So, okay, so you have a solid answer for that. My caveat around Tucson is in the summer, bro, it's rough.
It is actually 5 to 10 degrees cooler than Phoenix, if you can believe that.
Yeah,
And because
right.
yeah, no, that's real. And because of what is it called when the concrete
The
retain
heat island, the
yeah,
anthropogenic heat.
yeah, because of the
Yeah,
heat island effect, Tucson feels much cooler. It cools down much better at night because there's just a lot less asphalt and concrete. But again, I think Mount Lemon is actually like 9,000 feet. So if you want to get up into good weather at high elevation, you can do that in about 30 minutes in Tucson, and there's no option for that in Phoenix. But yeah, it's 5 to 10 degrees warmer in Phoenix than Tucson, if you can believe that.
I had no idea. So, sounds like Tucson kinda clinches it. All right, Tucson. We're all Tucson heads. All right, great.
Yeah.
Next one, half cab or grasshopper? You gotta pick one.
Half cab for
Half
sure.
cab,
I I,
okay. Even though
I
you
like
rode
the grass.
I was gonna say,
I rode
people who don't know, you did ride for iPath at one point.
I did ride for iPath when they were making bad rip-off vans, but, I definitely like, I skated the half cab a lot. I think that's one of the sickest looking skate shoes. I like the Grasshopper on Kenny. I would never wear that. I think they're just way too big for me. It's just too beefy of a shoe.
And it is. So I get that, and thank you for your input. Um, climbing or ultralight camping?
So those feel different to me. I would say, uh, I would say ultralight camping sounds funner than climbing in an indoor rock gym.
Yeah, the kid is indoor. My image selection was indoor. Do you climb in your skill set of outdoor skills? Do you climb at all? Is that a thing you
I do
do?
climb at a gym, and I've been getting more into scrambling in the mountains, which is kind of a like, whatever, 3rd or 4th class climbing without a rope. So it's like you're kind of a in between hiking and rock climbing. You could think like hiking with your hands. I like that a lot. There's not a ton of routes in LA, but I like to do that stuff when I'm in the mountains. I don't climb typically with, like with a harness, but outdoors, but and I don't even really boulder in the outdoors, but I like climbing in a gym. It's a good, it's good exercise, especially like for off days skating. You can build a little upper body strength.
Amazing workout, and it's more fun than just, like, hitting the weight room or whatever. It's
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
engages your mind, it's active, you can do it socially, which is cool. Also shout out Bouldering Project,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
have hosted so many slow impact everything, right?
Yeah, 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 the panel discussions are there every year. So if you
Yeah,
are wanting to get a climb in and look like this kid on the left, you can do that in between the
beautiful.
panels.
In between panels, be this kid, if you want, if that's your thing. Half pipe or flat ground? Mini ramp.
I'm gonna pick 13 stair at Burrell.
That's a great choice. I mean, it's
No,
mellow.
I can't skate a mini ramp. I'm pretty much have no fun. I like straight up have no transition skills. So I will take flat ground any day of the week.
Really? Okay.
But I love when
You
people skate
panther.
that set.
Yeah, the kid who did it in the line, I'm, like, blanking on his name, but he ran up the stairs, like, he did a trick over the grate, then ran up the stairs and ollied it. That was so fucking G.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was sick.
amazing. Also, shout out Zach Panabianco because I thought you landed it and, maybe did it, but you fooled everybody. I thought you landed it. So, um, there we go. Okay. Pet iguana or pet badger?
Pet iguana is a much more Arizona guy thing. I've never thought about owning a pet badger, but I had lots of friends who owned iguanas growing up. I think that's a pretty sick thing to own.
That's
Although
yeah.
maybe they're not thrilled to be in a tiny terrarium inside a suburban home in Phoenix, but
Yeah, maybe not. Would a badger be? Nah, probably not.
yeah.
I also recently learned I picked this. Also recently learned, did you know that badgers can carry tuberculosis?
No shit.
Yeah, I just learned that. So maybe another reason that we don't all have pet badgers. All right, so you picked iguana. Cool. I think they're cool looking. Biking or running? You got to pick one.
Right now, I'm gonna pick biking. I am in a more of a biking phase in my life, and it it integrates better in with skating. Running is really challenging for me on my skate legs, and if I was to retire from skating or get kicked off my sponsors, I'd probably run and bike full time, just for exercise. I think running is like a really good, quick, reliable exercise that always feels good, whereas cycling takes much longer to get the kind of same runner's high. It takes like hours longer to get that same feeling. But and I also don't love the gear, so I don't know, I'm pretty conflicted about this, but right now I'm gonna pick cycling, but I will say with the caveat that I hate that cycling is so expensive, requires so much gear,
Yeah.
shit breaks down. I just think that running is like a very pure, primitive form of exercise that is it's just it's just much more convenient.
Yeah, you can take it with you wherever you go. I mean, you have your legs. If you have some shoes and some decent gear, you can make it work. I fully hear you. I think my thing with running is like it can be hard on your joints in a way that skateboarding isn't, which is so interesting to me. Like
Yeah.
habitually, maybe it's just the wear and tear, but man, like some of the more serious injuries that, my skate friends have had are from running and not skateboarding.
It also just kills your fast twitch muscles. Like you're building your slow twitch muscles, so you're getting strong. Like I remember when I finished hiking the Arizona Trail, I was, you know, done 800 miles with I don't even know how many 30,000 feet of vert, and I'm super
Wow.
strong. But you step on a skateboard and it is like anti gravity. It's just like
Yeah,
uh,
that's interesting.
or like double gravity, I guess. Yeah, you have no power to like pop very quickly. You're really strong. You could run up a mountain, but at the same time, like, yeah, trying to like ollie onto a box was challenging for me. Like straight
Wow.
up, I could not grind like a regulation size box.
That is so wild. I had not thought about that, but you're right. You're building up an entirely different, like, way of using your legs.
Yeah,
That's super interesting. Alright, so there we go. Alright, Matt Rodriguez or Kenny Reed?
I'm gonna pick Kenny. Kenny was a little more load bearing in my formative years, and I love Matt Rod as well, but Kenny just has so many parts that were so important to me, and just yeah, really influenced me to travel a lot and the way that I approach skateboarding and thinking about spots. Matt is such like a pure soul and he's so incredible to watch skate as well. But I think I'm gonna go with Kenny.
That makes all the sense in the world. Shout out to The Traveler for inspiring traveling, and shout out to Matt Rodriguez for, I don't know if you remember that there was a video of him showing his bushing setup or lack thereof, and I always think about how sick it is that he could do everything that he did with, like, the wobbliest trucks imaginable.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a cool thing too. People always talk about Day One hacking his trucks. Around here, people talk about Max Palmer hacking his trucks. Matt Rodriguez, the original truck hacker.
He was for sure.
Bucket hat or beanie?
uh Fuck it. I'm gonna go with bucket hat. More practical for a desert dweller than a beanie. I don't really wear a bucket hat that often. I don't wear a beanie all that often either, but I think the bucket hat has a little more practicality. Kind of sick too.
Yeah,
It's
they're
pretty
kinda sick. I feel like
Jamiroquai
the
looking
bucket
bucket
hat is a
hat
real
right
slow
there.
burn.
Yeah.
Exactly. Alright, next one. Arizona Mexican or California Mexican? Food.
I am gonna go with California Mexican actually. I think it feels a little fresher. I eat vegan, so there's usually better vegan options. A lot of Arizona Mexican, I feel like if it's authentic, is not it's not as veggie friendly. They tend to put lard and meat in most of the stuff. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a little just the whole thing is like a little wetter and runnier. But I don't know. They're both good.
They're both good. That is an interesting point too. If you have any sort of vegetarian, vegan diet, that's gonna be tricky. Arizona Mexican, a lot of lard in the beans. Yeah, just like a lot of animal product in there versus California Mexican. Probably a lot more fresh produce, so I get that. All right, last
Who
one.
is that
Matt
guy on the right?
Matt Price or right wing comedian Matt Rife, which like
I don't actually know who that guy is. Uh,
I
so
was
I'm gonna
like I
go
was
with
hoping you I was hoping you would. This dude sucked. Like
Did the
I just
mugs
thought it would be
on
a funny comparison because their names are similar.
it is really funny, and I like that they both have the same grin on their face. Damn, you did Matt dirty,
Right,
or you
exactly.
did Price dirty. But yeah, I'm definitely going with Price. He's my OG.
Oh, I
We
thought it was
grew
a
up
good
together.
picture of Matt
It is
Price.
good.
Okay,
It
so you're
is
picking
good.
Matt Price.
Yeah, we grew up together. Fuck that other
Got
guy.
it. Yeah, fuck that other guy. If you wanna, go watch, like, the worst comedy you've ever seen that people like for some reason, check out Matt Rife, or just don't. So, okay, cool, man. Thank you for playing the game. That was fun. This or that, trying to make it a recurring segment, and hey, we all learned something, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. That's everything I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else you want people to have front of mind as they're thinking about slow impact, as they're thinking about their own athletic journeys, as they're thinking about anything? I don't know. Any concluding statements that you'd like to make?
No, I mean, I will say I'm pretty down to chat with anybody. If you have questions about stuff like slow impact related, or even if you want to plan a through hike, like I'll take the time to respond, email or talk on the phone. So, don't abuse that. But I feel like that's part of the job as being a public facing figure is like you should communicate with people. So, especially with slow impact, like I try to do FAQs on the site and Q&As on the Instagram so that people know what they're getting themselves into because I understand, it's not cheap to potentially buy a plane ticket, rent an Airbnb, buy a ticket to an event. I want to make sure that people have a good expectation of what they're getting into and yeah, I don't know. So, reach out to me if you'd like. I'll respond.
Beautiful. And I will conclude by saying gatekeeping is for old heads and we're progressive. So there you go. All right. Thank you so much, man. Slow impact. It's going to be a great time. People are going to find out about it. Appreciate the time.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool. See ya.
Ooh.